Hey, what's up guys, this is Scar5 here, reviewing a dedicated remote made specifically by Sony for Alpha series cameras. It's like the A7 series, the A9 series, and also the mirrorless camera series like the A6000, which is I'm currently filming on. So I really do love my A6000, and this is a really nice accessory to go along with it, because it not only is it made by Sony, it comes with a whole bunch of features and buttons that are dedicated to operating Alpha series cameras. I know you can buy a lot cheaper third-party remotes out there on Amazon for like $10, but they're really limited in the functionality that they can do. Usually they can just only take a picture or something, maybe even a timer if you get a little bit more fancier model. But you can see there's a whole host of buttons right here at the palm of your hand. It's basically a mini remote. So it operates on a tiny coin-sized battery that you can easily find and replace for under $5, I'm sure. So there aren't really many videos out there for this specific product, if any, really. So I thought I'd make this video to show you guys through the entire functionality of the buttons and whether you should pick this up. This is a little bit on the pricey side, around $20 or so on Amazon, but at the end of this video, hopefully you can make that decision, because this really is a feature-packed remote. So the first thing you need to do to make sure that this remote pairs up with your camera is just to enable the remote on the settings. And depending on the model you are, this may be in a different placement, but I'm just showing you where it is on my Sony a6000. So you just need to switch this thing on, and then automatically you can just start using it, no drivers required. Now let's continue with the overview of all the buttons. So I would say half of them you can use directly when you're filming, but then the other half is better when you're viewing it in slideshow mode, so it's better if you just hook this up to a big screen. And to do so, you depending on the camera model you have, you most likely need to get an adapter from a micro HDMI up to a full-size HDMI, and I'll have a separate video on the specific adapter that I'm using. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to see that video. But anyways, without further ado, this is pretty obvious, the top buttons right here. So the red button with a little indentation right there is to clearly note the start and stop for video recording. And then if you own an Alpha mirrorless camera like I do, especially the APS-C sensor type, you know that they have a ridiculous placement of the video recording button. It's right here at the tip. I often need to use my fingernail to start and stop, and since I'm doing video recording all the time on my YouTube channel, that gets kind of a pain. So it's really handy to have this dedicated button right here that I can just press. And the awesome thing about this is I can use this remote not only in the front and also the back, but aside and everything like that, because it just has an integrated chip in here that speaks right to the Alpha series cameras, as opposed to third parties that often have to be in the front so that the IR beam can beam right to the camera in order to work. So a lot of times if you're right behind the camera, the remote won't even work. So that's a huge plus right there about the camera recording feature. And then right here, boxed in white, is the photo feature. So you can do a simple shutter click right there, and also a 2-second delay timer for group pictures. And then these buttons here are more dedicated, once again, for the if you were to view it on a bigger screen, so not really out in the field. So I would say the stuff that's boxed in white, and then also of course the red button, is really what you would mainly use. But rolling through all of these buttons, so the display, you can use it technically while you're in the field, because it just switches between, how many icons are shown on your display at a given time. So that can be pretty useful if you really wanted to do that. The button to the right of that is the histogram, and this button works only when you're viewing your past taken pictures. So this allows you to see more information about the color gamut and the settings that you took the picture on. Okay, so moving down the line, we also have this little focus and index button that they call it. Basically a filing feature that you can look at on your screen. You can see I'm demoing it right now. It makes a little bit more sense to what I'm saying. So this is just a way that you can kind of organize or view your footages in relation to others. And then this one is only going to work if you hook it up to a monitor, projector, something like that, because this allows you to flip the screen if necessary. And then this button you can use all the time. This is of course to switch between your live recording and then your footage viewing. screens right here, and then this one is a dedicated slideshow button. So if you want to go right into playing through the last few footages that you shot, you can just press that button right there. Menu button's pretty self-explanatory, just going to operate as the menu button from any location on the camera. Delete button's very self-explanatory too, so as the print button if you have a printer hooked up to it, and of course the arrow keys would operate as you would expect if you were to press the arrow keys on your camera. And not to forget the two little zoom in and zoom out buttons right here, also indented right below the record button. Now this is unfortunately is not going to allow you to zoom in and out when you're in live viewing, so you can't do this while you're recording. Rather, this is for when you are viewing your footage afterwards, or you're in that viewing footage screen, so you can easily zoom in and out to be like, you know, zooming out of the footage when you're viewing it in relation to others. So this is kind of, again, similar to what the index feature button right here does. Or of course the more useful thing is while you're in the slideshow mode, you can zoom in and out of a specific picture and also navigate around the zoomed picture using the arrow keys. So I think that's the main reason for to have these specific zoom in and out buttons. So that was an overview of every single button on this remote. I think it's really handy. Even though it is pricey, I think it's well worth the money. It's very durable. It's, again, specifically made by Sony, so you know it works really well with your cameras. The only thing I don't really like about it, besides the slightly more expensive price, is the buttons are kind of cheap. Well, I wouldn't say cheap, but you know, they're kind of like 90s or even 80s like style, because they're just very protruded and they have a lot of wiggle room, you know what I mean? So they don't feel like a very precise press when you press them down. But other than that, I mean, everything is laid out very clearly. But if you did need to use a reference, it comes with an instruction manual right out of the box that has everything detailedly laid out. And over time you'll develop muscle memory anyway, so you don't even have to look at it when you're pressing the buttons. When it's not in use, I like to store it in the side compartment of my camera bag. It's so slim and narrow that it easily fits in alongside my other cables too. So yes, this is kind of a pricey remote, but it's so all-inclusive that it's worth the investment and you get a whole lot of use out of it. I know I have definitely as a video recorder, especially with that dedicated button. So I would definitely just recommend just taking a look at the product page. As usual, I'll put the link in the description. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please give it a like, it'd be greatly appreciated, and make sure to subscribe to my channel Skyforce95 if you haven't already to get more content like this. Or if you're watching this on Amazon, head over to my channel URL right here, or just search it up on YouTube Skyforce95. There you'll see a bunch of my product reviews and unboxings. Feel free to browse, or if you want to search for something specific, just hit that search field. That'll do it for this video. This is Skyforce95. Thanks for watching.